Hello friends, I am Darshna, Cornea Fellow at LJ. I welcome you all to the fifth and last episode of After Opthal series. What next after Opthal? Yes, this question pops in the mind of every passed out ophthalmologist, and I think by now we can call this state of mind as After Opthal syndrome. In our journey of After Opthal series so far, we passed through different stations like cornea, glaucoma, plasty and pediatric ophthal, and took a drive through the lives of our star surgeons. Now, let's get ready for the retina ride. During my residency, when I saw the fundus for the first time, I was flabbergasted by the view of the bright, colorful and phenomenal galaxy inside the eye. The solar disk, the vascular mosaic, the throbbing artery and a foveal beam. I must say, God is an exemplary and invincible artist. We have our deep divers to take care of this beautiful galaxy of God. Yes, the retina rescuers. Let me introduce you all to 5 such legendary retina rescuers from across the country. We are going to ride through their lives by asking them 5 questions. Dr. Lalit Verma, Director, Vitreous Retina Services, Center for Sight, New Delhi, and Senior Consultant, Vitreous Retina Department, Apollo Hospitals, New Delhi. Dr. Mangat Dogra, Director, Retina Services, Garewal Eye Institute, Chandigarh. Dr. Ruchi Mittal, Head, Retina Services at LJ Eye Institute and Kapil Eye Hospital, Ambala. Dr. Pukhraj Rishi, Senior Consultant, Retina Department, Sankara Netralaya, Chennai. Dr. Rajiv Reddy, Senior Consultant, Srimati Kanuri Santhama, Vitreous Retina Services, LV Prasad Eye Institute, Hyderabad. So tie your seat belts and get set go. Our first question is, what made you fall in such a romantic relationship with retina all your life? I mean, how you chose retina? Yes, Dr. Lalit Verma.
Dr. Darshana, retina is no romance, and retina requires a lot of hard work, lot of patience, is a difficult specialty to master, difficult to practice. Honestly speaking, when we were residents, my choice was limited because retina was a difficult specialty. Also remember, the equipment available at that time was scarce. We used to have only indirect ophthalmoscopy, lasers and angiography, and even surgeries were limited kind of buckling surgeries only. And there were hardly any choices, believe me. So we had to go through a lot of hard work in our life. And I remember I did not have an indirect also, although I was a senior resident at RP Center, did not have an indirect. Let me tell you a small story. You see how I started learning retina. You see, I used to come on all Sundays. I will ring up my sister in charge of the ward, and typically we had 45 patients per ward at that time. And I will ring her up, please dilate all the patients, and I will take a borrowed indirect from my faculty and start doing indirect ophthalmoscopy in all the 45 patients, whether they were of any specialty. This is how I learned retina. Believe me, it took me weeks and months before I could locate a horseshoe tear or a detachment. So what I'm trying to say is, retina is no romance. It is all hard work, patience, perseverance and persistence. If you have that, believe me, then success is yours.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Dr. Dogra.
Well, friends, there are certain things which happen in life because of various situations which you come across. I did my MS ophthalmology from PGI Chandigarh in 1981. During my residency, I realized that very little is done for retina, and the diseases of retina were very prevalent in the region. And at that time, we were lucky to have Dr. D.N. Gangwar, who would do scleral buckling for retinal detachment surgeries. At that time, few things happened in life. And one of the biggest event which totally changed my sort of a decision that I have to do retina was one elderly gentleman who was totally blind, and he was told by our teachers that nothing could be done. He had a bilateral proliferative diabetic retinopathy, very advanced, and at that time there was hardly any place in India where surgery could be done for this. This was in 1980, and I think he just talked to me and Dr. Amod Gupta that time. He was a young faculty, and we told him that we have heard that something can be done if you can go abroad. He said, my son is in USA. He went there. He got his surgery done and came back after 6 months. The person who was being brought by two people holding on either side came independently. He was a different man, and he was very, very upset with our faculty members and became fan of ours. I think that was it. I thought I have to do retina, and we have to bring this kind of technology here. We must do in our country. And subsequently, I got opportunity to go to Simla, my medical college, that's Indira Gandhi Medical College, as assistant professor, where I stayed for 3 years from 86 to 89. You will be surprised, nobody did that time indirect ophthalmoscopy ever in that state. I was the first one to do scleral buckling for retinal detachment that time, which I did, and also did first fluorescein angiography. But I didn't know where to get trained.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Dr. Pukhraj Rishi.
The idea of pursuing a career in retina and vitreous did not come right after my residency. The more surgeries you do, you also end up in certain complications. So, in one such situation, I had a nucleus drop and I was not able to manage it because I wasn't a trained vitreoretinal surgeon, and that case kind of triggered me to think if I would like to pursue training as a retina vitreous surgeon. So I spoke to a few of my friends and seniors, and they really encouraged me. In the late 90s, there were very few centers, very handful centers in India who offered surgical vitreoretina training, and Manish Nagpal was 1 year senior to me. I spoke to him, and then I interviewed at Retina Foundation, and luckily I got in a 1-year fellowship there, trained with Dr. P.N. Nagpal. So, and after having done that, I wanted to practice in an institutional based setting, and so I went on to explore a position at Shankar Nethralaya. However, as a requirement, I was also required to do a fellowship there, so I applied for a fellowship there and worked as a fellow for 8-9 months before Dr. Gopal asked me to join as faculty, considering my past experience. So the fact that I had excellent mentors reinforced and motivated me to set higher and higher goals, and also the environment in which I got to practice with very high ethical standards actually shaped me up.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Mittal, please.
Retina was never my first choice. Actually, when I was doing my post-graduation, when I finished my post-graduation, I was thinking what to do next. I always had a love for pediatric ophthal. So I was searching for the fellowships in pediatric ophthal. So in that go, I applied for the fellowship in Chitrakoot, Sadguru Nethralaya. And then I was seeking for the same fellowship in Shankar Nethralaya, although it was not there that time. So my HOD told me ki go to Shankar Nethralaya once, because at that time there was an opening for retina fellowship. So he said just go to Shankar Nethralaya once, get a feel of that institute, and then you can also explore many things over there. So I made up of mind, okay fine, I'll go for my interview in Chitrakoot, and then followed by that I'll go to Chennai for the interview for fellowship in retina. So after reaching Shankar Nethralaya, the aura was completely different. I saw so many people had come for this fellowship, and there was one written exam in the morning, and then a few of them who will get selected for interview in the evening. So it was a tough thing, and I was too junior that time. Because I could see many people looked more experienced than me. But then when I saw my name in the list for interview, I was very elated. And finally I gave the interview and I came back. I was not hoping that I will get selected because I saw so many big people over there. But when I was on my way back in the train to Raipur, where I was studying actually, I got a call from Shankar Nethralaya that you are selected and you have to join from 1st of April. I think that was a big day for me. Although I never wanted to do retina, but then it was a premier institute, so I didn't give any thought and I just went with the wind and I joined retina. So that's how I joined retina.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Dr. Rajiv Reddy.
I chose ophthalmology by accident. I wanted to do a surgical field which is more challenging for me. So what I thought I'll do after my MBBS, but I did not get an opportunity to do a surgical branch at that time. So I chose an ophthalmology as an alternative option, thinking that I'll have more time to do more, prepare for another exam and things like that. But then when I joined ophthalmology, thanks to a few of my assistant professors who made me go deeper into ophthalmology, and they were actually doing retina work, so that made me understand more about retina. Then that gave me a perspective that retina is equally challenging when compared to any other surgical field.
Thank you, sir. It seems few of our stars fell in for the beauty of retina, and few of them were destined to spend their lives with the gorgeous retina. Any of the ways, but the bond is strong. Let's move further. I wonder how these deep divers with the torch on the head are ever ready to explore the ocean in the eye. Dear stars, please share those gratifying moments in your everyday retina practice which makes you adore retina for so long. Yes, Dr. Dogra.
Well, I started doing screening, cryo, in the beginning for retinopathy of prematurity, which was done under general anesthesia. It was a challenge for whole PGI. Whole of the anesthesia department, including their head of the department, used to be there when I started this procedure, but it was very satisfying when I could prevent blindness in many of them. And later on, I started doing laser as well as subsequently ROP surgery, which was not done anywhere in the northern part of the country. And we trained manpower for the entire country for screening as well as treatment of retinopathy of prematurity. And that helped many people across, and especially children, from going to blindness. And one of the most famous which I trained and remained for 6 years with me was Dr. Anand Vinekar, who is in Narayan Nethralaya, Bangalore now, and is world-known ROP expert who has made country proud, and he has made me proud being my student. And so we also established a very good vitreoretina unit and started vitreoretina surgery. We would assist each other, me and Professor Amod Gupta, for first 6 months. We would do surgery even in the evening and night, because that time we never had advanced eye center. We had just one operation theater for the entire ophthalmology department. That's how we started. Subsequently, the retina started becoming very popular, and not only that, we got basic research done on retinopathy of maturity, also in retinal diseases, especially tuberculosis, and we could get international, not only national but international recognition. Also, we did a lot of work on diabetic retinopathy, which is now absolutely published and known all over the world. And not only that, what we did, we started at that time thinking that how can we expand further, and how can we be more recognized. I think one of the major contribution in the end for me was starting MCH, that is 3 years degree course in vitro retina in PGI. This is for the first time in the country. So now we are training, not only training people, we are giving them a degree which is first time from PGI Chandigarh.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Dr. Pukhraj Rishi.
Choosing a profession that you never want to break from. Well, ophthalmology is a branch that affords you a balance between surgical skills and the thought process of a physician. So, as ophthalmologists, we know how vision is a special sense, and the sheer joy of restoring someone's vision is ecstatic. But when you're in a position to help out your colleagues in a difficult situation, then it's a much gratifying feeling. We often receive a lot of referred cases, not only with posterior segment complications from our anterior segment colleagues, but also referrals for complex trauma like occupational chemical injuries, retinopathy of prematurity, advanced cases, and those that need a combined effort from both anterior and posterior segment surgeons, like combined PK-WIT or PK-WIT glaucoma and so forth. So there's a lot of room to evolve as a surgeon, and also for innovations in terms of imaging, instrumentation and drug delivery. Special mention for cases of ocular oncology, which is a multifaceted care and needs a lot of application of thought towards individualizing care for such patients.
Thank you, sir. Dr. Mittal, please.
I think the urge to keep learning, to see complicated cases, to see challenging cases every day. Sometimes you feel very confused that what to do with it, what is it, and then you try to seek opinion from your seniors, which I don't mind also, and then you go back into your books, your basics, and then you try to solve it somehow, or you plan, your mind keeps on going, planning a complicated surgery, that how are you going to go about it today in the OT. So that keeps me going, that gives me a kick. A few days back I just saw a girl with bilateral loss of vision and with some unusual presentation, which I thought it could be tubercular, and I started with ATT and steroids. It was a case of posterior uveitis, what I felt, but then patient was not responding. Looking very simple case, but still she was not responding to treatment. Then I thought it's better to take an opinion. So I took an opinion from Dr. Vishali, PGI, which she was kind enough to look into the case, and then she guided me, do this, do that, and finally came out with a diagnosis of Irvan syndrome. When other day I saw another case, I first thought of again that it could be Irvan. So this was something I learnt from my day-to-day practice. So I think the urge to learn keeps me going.
Thank you, ma'am. Yes, Dr. Rajiv Reddy.
Everyday retina practice, there are many instances when you feel that you are helping people. Most of the retinal diseases are bilateral, and you see many times patients sitting in your clinic where you have one eye lost because of some retinal problem, and you are dealing with the other eye and the only eye which is left. There are a few instances, like once when I was did a surgery, an endoscopic surgery for a patient who had severe eye injury, one eye lost and the other eye is almost lost with injury to the eye, and we did this surgery along with the change in the cornea and keratoprosthesis, and you could see that the first post-operative day the patient jumped with joy because he could not see for the past many years, and we did this, and then he was able to see. That those things like that would make you keep going, and these are the few of the typical situations which you come across in retina practice, and those are the ones which will need to continue doing retina practice.
Thank you, sir. Yes, Dr. Lalit Verma.
Darshana, what I believe is in life, once you have a success, you start adoring that success. Because I believe success begets success. You start enjoying the moment once patient has a smile on his face by virtue of your interference, whether it is surgery, lasers or cryo. You see, I'll quote one or two instances where I had some gratification and which actually made me adore retina. Like you said, how do you adore retina? So I was operating this VVIP patient. In fact, I was assisting my mentor, and this patient was scheduled for a buckling procedure. So we did all the steps of buckling as nicely as we could do, and at the time of drainage of subretinal fluid, somehow the fluid did not come much to create a hypotomy, and we had to tie all those buccal sutures. So believe me, at that point my mentor had stared at me what has been done. So he in fact left, and my all seniors left. So only thing I did at that time, had a deep breath, remembered those Linkoff's rule that our job is to close all retinal holes. So what I did at that time was did 3-4 times paracentesis. Aim of doing paracentesis at that time was to reduce the pressure so that I can tie 3-4 sutures. And this is what I did, and closed the case. And although my mentor told me you have converted an extraocular surgery to an intraocular surgery and blah blah, but believe me, next day retina was all flat. And that was one gratifying moment which raised my confidence that it is not necessary to drain all the fluid. And second case I still remember, you see, he was a police commissioner and I was doing a vitreous surgery for him. He had already been operated somewhere for a VR surgery. So he had come for removal of silicone oil, but he had a macular hole also. You see, at that time, macular hole surgery was just evolving, and we hardly used to operate macular holes. So I did the silicone oil removal, and at that time we had just started using ICG for staining, and we did not have recourse to OCT at that time. So we prepared the ICG, injected ICG. Fortunately for me, I could tease away the ILM with the help of a diamond dust scratcher, and couple of days down the line this commissioner had improvement in vision. So these are two instances, one of buckling procedure and one of a vitreous surgery, which gave me gratifying moments in my life. What I'm trying to say is that if you keep seeing all your videos, all your surgeries, and see other surgeries also, you will keep improving day by day, but never lose confidence.
Thank you, sir. So it's clear, our divers are ready to dive in every single day in their own way. We'll take a break here. Let's meet up tomorrow, same time, for the rest of this episode. More interesting stuff is coming up. Stay tuned and stay inspired.
The two most important things or values to bear in mind are attitude and timing.
Was not having my own equipment. Like I didn't during my residency, even during my senior residency, I didn't have my own indirect ophthalmoscopy.
Perseverance is the other thing which makes you successful.
In the beginning, when we started procurement of equipment, even the first microscope took 5 years for us to get it.
So you see one patient where you have done surgery, it is done well, and the next room, if you go and start seeing the patient, you will see, you would have seen a recurrent retinal detachment.